Yesterday we spoke a bit about the farewell discourse, the parting words of Jesus to his apostles at the Last Supper. Gospel of John. This plays out over 4 entire chapters. Jesus has a lot to say as he prepares to accept his suffering and death that very evening and then the next day. So I challenge you to read a chapter a day of those 4 chapters of the farewell discourse. Spend some time in prayer with each one of those. So today, the second one, chapter 15. Main point is for you to read it, but perhaps 3 thoughts on what you could meditate on there. The very first verse, I am the true vine, my Father is the vine dresser. Jesus describes himself as a vine, kind of like a tree, any other plant, and we are the branches. Just think of how totally and completely dead a branch is, unless it is completely and radically attached to the trunk or to the vine, right? That is how much we depend on Jesus, on his grace, which is like sap running through our veins. So, beautiful image. The Father is the vine dresser. So in his divine providence, the Father takes care of the vine, which sometimes means trimming, and that's painful. But always it enables the vine to grow into what it was meant to be. So, if he is the vine, we are the branches, how do we abide in him? How do we make our entire life a living in and through he who is that true vine that we belong to? Another thing that comes up, radical teaching on the part of Jesus. He says, this is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. Greater love has no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. And we know that Jesus did it, right? On Good Friday, he laid down his life to save us. But here, he's challenging us to do the same. You love one another as I have loved you. So what does that look like in our daily life? What does it look like right here, right now, for me to lay down my life for my friends, for my brethren? Finally, Jesus speaks of the world's hatred. If the world hates you, know that it has hated me before you. We've seen this before. Again, that when faced with the goodness of God, we're faced with a choice to accept or to reject. So if we are doing everything we can to stay close to the Lord and his plan for us, then inevitably we will encounter some who reject that and so reject us. But it's part of that identification of Jesus, of taking up the cross and following after him. Right? Forewarned is forearmed. Right? So, a few things to think about as you read that chapter. On an entirely different note, a particular way you could pray at home during this time of confinement, in particular during Holy Week, is with the Liturgy of the Hours. You may have heard of it before, also known as the Breviary. It's these special prayers that many people, priests and monks and nuns and religious, promise to do it, but anybody can, right? These prayers we pray several times a day. Obviously, it comes in book form. That's big and complicated. Much easier. There's an app for that. Actually, there's several, but one is called iBreviary. Looks like this. Really handy. I encourage you, download it. It's free. And just pray with that a little bit. It's beautiful prayer of the church using the Psalms and some readings. Speaking of the Liturgy of the Hours, it changes according to the seasons, right? Just like the prayers at Mass. And in this Holy Week, there's my favorite hymn of the entire year that we sing before evening prayer during Holy Week. It's called Vexilla Regis in Latin. Beautiful, beautiful hymn. I'm going to provide a link to it, sung beautifully, in the description of this video. You could take a listen and pray along. But this hymn, it praises the cross as the standard of the King. The standard of the King, the banner at the head of his procession, his battle flag as he marches to war. That is what the cross is for us, the banner of our King. And yet it's an instrument of torture. But we see once more the wisdom of God, that he triumphs through death in the most unexpected way. By dying, he destroys our death, and so the symbol, the instrument of his death, becomes the sign of our triumph. That is a powerful thing to meditate on this Holy Week, to give thanks to God for his great love, which has laid down his life for us.